Hi everyone, I hope you are all well. It's Saturday, it's the 1st of December. We are officially in the kind of Christmassy time, as it were, build up. I don't like to kind of acknowledge, in a sense, Christmas too much before the 1st of December because I feel like it's too soon, it's too soon, it's too soon. But it's the 1st of December, so I'm gonna say it. And it's been a good week. I got to see my sister earlier this week, and I actually got all my Christmas shopping done. I know, I'm in shock. Thus today, Saturday, I've been able to stay at home and chill, and most importantly, read. And because of that, I've finished the book that I've been reading this week, which is by Tom Holland. It's Dynasty, or Dynasty, however you want to pronounce it, The Rise and Fall of the House of Caesar. Now, this is a book that I got from the Cheltenham Literature Festival a couple of years ago now. Tom Holland was there to promote this book, and I went to see his talk, and I found it really, really interesting. So I got the book, and actually got a signed copy as well, which is nice. So there we go. We're here, Tom Holland. So yes, I haven't been able to read it since because I haven't picked it from my jars, but I did, and I have now completed it. Now it has, it says, the best-selling author of Rubicon up there at the top, for you to see. Now, I didn't know this until I was sat at my desk and one of my colleagues happened to walk by, and I had it on my desk and you could see the spine, and he read the spine and he's like, oh my gosh, that's the sequel to Rubicon. And I went, sequel? What are you talking about? And yeah, I had no idea that, because I've not read any of Tom Holland's books, that he had previously, because he's done other various books, it's not just this one book that he'd done, but he'd done previously a book called Rubicon, which was apparently about Julius Caesar. So I had absolutely no idea about that. But the fact that I started reading this and I had no clue that this was a sequel at all, I think that shows the strength of him and his writing. It's not a case of that he's referred to somebody and then said, as mentioned in Rubicon, and then just not talked about that person at all, because, he's under the assumption that whoever is picking up this book has read his previous book or knows about it and gone to look at the reference. So I really respected Tom for that as a first-time reader going into a book that I didn't even know was a sequel, and I couldn't even tell it was a sequel until somebody told me. Great, Tom. Thank you for that. So what's this about? So as I said, his previous book, Rubicon, talks about Julius Caesar and everything, but this actually follows the House of Caesar, and there are 5 particular men in total. So there's Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, and Nero. So all of these men, these Caesars, Caesar is obviously the leader of the area, the country, all share the same bloodline. So it starts off with Augustus and then downwards through various generations all the way to Nero. And he basically begins the book in a very, very clever way, in that he starts you off at the birth of Livia. Now, Livia is actually the wife of Augustus, but she is key because obviously she marries Augustus and gives birth to Tiberius, and then it follows down. So without Livia, this wouldn't have happened. And these men are some of the darkest, deadliest, least funny, least humorous, should I say, men of power. It's one of those, that thing that if they took what you said, if you made a joke and he didn't find it funny, he would have you killed. If you said something that wasn't quite right, they'd have you killed. That kind of, if you did the slightest thing wrong or nothing wrong, but they were kind of annoyed about that you were in their presence, they'd have you killed. So they the kind of the House of Caesar was something to be feared. It kind of the tone of the book itself is really quite dark, as you can imagine, and to have it begin with the birth of a woman who at first you have no understanding what an impact her birth makes, to then as you read it and unravel the mystery about this family and the connections and everything, you begin to realize, my God, she was an extraordinary woman for all the stuff that she had to put up with. She actually was a name that kind of, when I started reading it, I was thinking, this kind of sounds vaguely familiar, the name, but I couldn't tell you anything about her. And then once I finished it, I've looked her up, and as soon as I started typing her name, she was there at the top of search engines, and there was so many websites, so many articles about her and her life and such. So I really recommend, if you aren't able to get hold of this book or another book that relates to her, look her up. She's pretty interesting lady. Right, for the actual structure of the book, as you can see, it's not a big book. I've got a bookmark in there because there's a bit I want to read. I need to bookmark the page. But it's only like 420 pages or something, and it's basically 6 biographies, because if you think about it, you've got the 5 guys here and you've got Livia as well. So there's a lot of information in this book. Sometimes, this is me making a criticism, but then if you think about it, he's doing the biographies of 6 people in 400 and odd pages. So what he did was fantastic. My criticism is that sometimes it feels a bit rushed. Like in 2 paragraphs, you say how somebody, family got hit with a double tragedy because that person died and that person died, and then they went here and then they went there, and that's 2 paragraphs. But you needed that information for stepping forward. So yeah, sometimes it feels a little rushed, but so many people, so many events, it's ridiculous. And in that short space of time, I totally understand why Tom had to write perhaps some sections like that. So it is a criticism, but at the same time it's praise, that Tom was able to do that without making a book that's probably 2 or 3 times as long as this. I found it very interesting also, the human level of emotions, of knowledge of the individuals in this book. By that I mean their knowledge, their perceptions, their emotions, how that was conveyed, and also the tone of tensions and between the public, between the Caesars, between their families and such. It's very interesting, and I really loved this page. I actually took a picture and sent it to my sister and our friend Sarah, because I absolutely adored what this was. And this is just a page, the public's reaction to Augustus, rumours that Augustus, who is married to Livia, as I said, and father to Tiberius, that he was having an affair. So, but he's Caesar, he can do what he likes. At least that's what it was felt. So this is just one page talking about the people's reaction. Naturally, there were whisperings of scandal. There always have been. Gossip was part of the air that citizens breathed. Wherever people gathered, they would pause and swap the rumours that passed for news. A story had only to be heard in the forum for it to spread with remorseless inevitability, out through the maze of the city's back alleys, into the workshops and narrow cul-de-sacs and tiny, hidden squares where pigs rooted for garbage and fullers hung their washing out to dry. The Roman people had always had a pernicious streak. No vice was so private that it could be kept from them for long. Sorry, puritanical is what I said. That I kind of fumbled over that word. Sorry, a puritanical streak. Political life in Rome was not named res publica for nothing. The jeers and hisses of a crowd were sure to pursue even the most eminent of men caught up in any impropriety. Graffiti, scrawled and scratched across the city, served up to everyone who could read them such a relentless dishing of dirt that people fretted the sheer weight of it, or might bring walls crashing down. Even the illiterate would shit on the monuments of those who had offended them. The Romans were a people with a rare genius for throwing mud. I loved that. I actually sent a message along with the picture of this page, saying, I think we're more like the Romans than we may think. And if you really think about what he just said, about, scandals and gossip and such, and graffiti, spreading your thoughts and everything, and think about modern day, what we do with Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, all of the kind of social media stuff that we have now, and spreading our thoughts across the internet and everything. I think we're very much like Romans in that sense. It was really fascinating to get down to that level of detail and such. Thinking about the various Caesars themselves, obviously they had very interesting personalities. I would be terrified if I was in the presence of any of them, in case I did the slightest thing wrong. But do you know how you had that thing where you have somebody, even in fiction, I suppose in life, where they are so bad you can't help but kind of like them, and they're just so ridiculous, like Caligula, who built these massive statues of himself, and there was this whole thing of the area where he was just got burned to the ground in a massive fire, and rather than helping the people and building their homes and making sure that they've got food, he's like, oh, more land, I'm gonna build a grand palace here and stuff, and tax the people so that I can afford it, and that kind of thing. And Nero was just, oh my god. Nero, he killed his mother. He was married. He had an affair with another woman, and he wanted to be with her, so he killed his wife, chopped off her head, gave the wife's head to his girlfriend, and then killed his girlfriend. It was just like, my god, Nero and Caligula, I'd be terrified to be anywhere near them, but at the same time, I'm like, oh my god, you cannot make this up. But there's something about them that I kind of like. I don't know what it is, it's weird. But to go back to this book, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Sometimes it can be a little confusing, but at least, for me it was, because this annoying thing that in this family you had a lot of stuff where next generations were called like the same as the previous generation, or the similar name, but there's one letter that's different in the names, and I kept on getting them muddled up, the generations in my head. So when it was saying like he was in this at this war or whatever, and I'm thinking, no, he's not. He's back at the palace, surely. And I realised, oh no, it's another family member, just with the same name but slightly different spelling. That kind of thing. So for me, just me personally, that was a bit confusing. But I don't know if somebody else read it, they would have similar confusion. But overall, it was enjoyable. I found it really fascinating. I'm glad I read it. As I said, it was a sequel when I didn't know it was, and really, good on the strength of Tom's writing. Well done, Tom. That I didn't notice until somebody told me. He happened to tell me at work. And I found it really interesting. Would I read any more of his books? Yes, I think I would, definitely. I don't know if I'd necessarily read right now, like have a real want, a real need to read more history of Rome, but I'm not adverse to it, because obviously with my December picks, I want to, I'm not like I have to go out now and buy every book by like Mary Beard and Tom Holland and all, other writers about Rome, but if another book about Rome comes along, and I'd be quite interested to read, definitely. So yeah, I would recommend it. I'd say give it a go. Expect the unexpected, because there were some things that came up in this book I was like, my god, I never even knew. And yeah, expect blood and gore and all that jazz. Oh, so that's my thoughts on that book. Have you read this book? I'd love to know what you think. Leave me a comment in the comments box below, or give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, entirely up to you. I'll let you decide. And I will be back with the announcement about the next book I'm going to be reading. And as it's the 1st of December, that means it's time for December picks. So I will be showing you all the books that I've chosen to read through December and announcing which one of them I'm going to be reading first. All right then, guys. Bye.